Hi, and welcome to today's chat. So, I wanted to share with you about the ego mind and spirit self and how the ego mind runs us away from our soul and the spirit self brings us back to the soul. But first, I want to start with taking a moment and jumping in, stepping in, feeling into the space and the conversation. So, I'm going to ask that you close your eyes for a moment. Place your hand on your heart. And we're going to take 3 deep breaths, long and slow in, and long and slow out. And as you follow your breath, I ask that you relax your shoulders. Unclench your jaw. And feel your breath through your hand and your heart. And as you finish your breaths, feel a smile come to your face. And I wanted us to do that by taking a moment to calm our nervous systems. I'm meeting you guys out here today in my porch outside. You'll see the gentle breeze blow through the trees. My dog is hanging out on the couch on the other side of my computer. My cat's on the deck. And I'm coming to you from this space that helps me drop in and connect. It helps lower my nervous system because I feel the breeze blowing through the screen. I hear the trees, and it's just a peaceful place to meet you. And so, as we're going to talk today, I mentioned we're going to talk about the ego mind and the spirit self. Part of releasing the ego mind is lowering our nervous system so that we can hear the spirit self. And that's why I wanted you to start with taking a few deep breaths, because that 3 breaths every day throughout your day is the way to lower our nervous system back down, to quiet the ego mind. And the ego mind, I'm smiling because my dog, he's the biggest goofball. He's rolling around on the deck on his back. It's just, he's at peace. I'm at peace. It's a wonderful space to be in today. So the ego mind, we're not talking ego, which is that boisterous, obnoxious personality we see from somebody we know, from somebody on TV, from somebody of high profile. We're talking about the ego mind, that voice in the back of your head that's always chattering. You may call it your left brain, you may call it logic. I resonate with ego mind. So whatever resonates for you. But the ego mind's responsibility is to protect us at all costs, to make sure that we don't get hurt, to keep us in fight or flight, to keep us sometimes in fear because it's the known and we don't know what's on the other side of the known. So that's best to stay safe because we know what that is. And so that's what the ego mind does to protect us. The ego mind is also a result of an overstimulated nervous system, of our adrenals being in high gear. So I know for me that ego mind will chatter away for me. It will share all sorts of stuff that I don't need to remember because it happened 10 years ago and it's really irrelevant. But ego mind reminds me because that way I don't get hurt again. I remember that somebody hurt me 10 years ago instead of falling into them. But really, what ego mind does is it prevents us from feeling joy, from following our dreams, from opening our heart. I know that a lot of times you'll hear somebody say, oh, just let it go. Or my husband's good at saying, let it go. Or don't let it bother you. That takes a lot of practice to learn to let go, right? It's not something we do easily. One of the things over years of practice that I've learned and started to do is watch the ego mind as it is a movie and to kind of let it play out in front of me. And instead of buying into the conversation of like, oh, I can't believe that, I'm still mad at her for saying that, I'm never going to trust her again, asking the ego mind, what lesson was I supposed to learn from that? What was the benefit in my journey? So when you know somebody broke your trust, instead of saying, I'll never trust them again, what was it that was in it for me? Why did I feel the need to share that? And what could I do better next time? So allowing the ego mind to be a part of your journey, a part of your teacher, because you're never going to fully rid yourself of the ego mind. It's about letting it be part of your journey and letting it support you instead of rule you. So that's one of the things that I've really found with ego mind. Now, it takes practice to do that. And I've heard people say, wear a rubber band, and every time you fall into that, you can thump yourself. I tried that in my 20s, and I ended up with welts on my arms. I preferred a little more loving and peaceful pattern for myself. So I found this amazing bracelet that's kind of the bells that belly dancers wear on their waist, and it was an anklet. And so I put that on, and I wore that everywhere I went. So when I got up and moved around, I walked, I went to the restroom, I heard the bells, and I reminded myself to smile. And when we smile, our body responds to that. So instead of trying to get the negative ego mind to stop talking to me by thumping myself, I found a way to replace it with that cheerfulness of bringing that joy into my life. So that's just a tip. Find what resonates for you about how you can replace the negative with the positive. And we're going to revisit that again as we get a little bit farther into spirit self. Now, spirit self is what connects you to your soul. It's what connects you to your heart. It's the softer side of you. It's that feminine side that allows for openness. Now, the other part of spirit self is spirit self knows your purpose. Spirit self knows why you're here and what you're here to do in this life. So spirit self has a direction. And spirit self, while ego mind is going to protect you at all costs, spirit self is going to lead you to your purpose at all costs. Ego mind will run over spirit self. They don't talk to each other. They're not friends. They're not in communication. So it's not like the little devil and the little angel on your shoulders chit-chatting back and forth. One of them is just louder. So spirit self knows that heartbreak happens. Spirit self knows that you're going to get hurt, that you're going to feel fear. But spirit self knows there's a purpose to it. There's an end to the means, and there's a reason. Spirit self also knows that some of the greatest growth and biggest expansions come from pain. They come from the dark nights. They come from the discomfort. So spirit self is not afraid of those. Spirit self is willing to do the work to get there. And that's where spirit self really connects with your soul. So in allowing your spirit self to lead, you're going to be uncomfortable. You're going to have some pain. You're going to have to do the work and heal. But the other side is going to be beautiful and amazing. And that's what I'm hoping you'll find is seeing those other sides, seeing where you're going to do the work and really connecting with that. One of the things when we talk about the dark night is spirit self knows there's darkness, but spirit self doesn't see darkness as something to be afraid of. Spirit self sees darkness as something that's blocking out the light. So it's going to go through the darkness to get to the light at all cost. And as I can say, in the last 10 years of my dark nights, my crumbling to be rebuilt, there have been some really uncomfortable times. There's been some really deep pains. We talk about it on my podcast. We did a whole series about the dark nights and burnout. Every one of them was worth it. Every one of them I don't want to do again, but I would do again to get here, to get to this moment, to be able to talk to you, to have the experience, strength, and hope that I have found in life. So I encourage you, as you're leaning into spirit self and as you're quieting ego mind, to know that there's fear, but also know it's kind of your compass, that it's not something to keep you stuck, it's something to guide you. So I want to talk a little bit about ways to quiet the ego mind to calm the nervous system so that you can hear spirit self. And as far as calming the nervous system, there's so many great ways to bring it down, to calm that. Yin yoga is amazing, but we get all these blocks in our bodies. It's that tense shoulders, that clenched jaw. We're holding on to the energy in our body. So, doing yoga, whether it's a vinyasa practice or a yin yoga practice, allows that energy to move up and down our bodies. If we go into that yoga practice with the intention of releasing what no longer serves you, and then ending our yoga practice in Shavasana of allowing our body to nurture. I love laying on my yoga mat and in Shavasana and imagining all that energy that I have just moved being absorbed down into Mother Earth, because Mother Earth needs compost. She needs fertilizer and regrowth. So using that energy that no longer serves me to now be composted, just like we do in our kitchen with the scraps. Mother Earth welcomes that energy and composts it into something new and beautiful. So that's a great way of calming your nervous system. If you don't have time for a 30, 45-minute yoga practice, as far as yoga moves, anytime you bring your head below your heart, so in forward fold, in pyramid pose, anytime you do that, you're bringing your head below your heart, which is going to lower your nervous system. So even if you're in a skirt at work, walk to the restroom, go to the break room, and do forward fold, where you're just breathing into that and allowing your head to drop below your heart and calm that nervous system. Of course, if you have a few extra minutes, you can do a few more poses. A humble warrior, where you're bringing your heart to your chest and drop your head down a little bit. Anything that you can do to bring that. One of my favorite things, I work from home and have for many years, is grounding myself, going out in the backyard barefoot. And if it's just raining a little bit, that's even better. But feeling the earth below my feet, again, visualizing all that energy that's not benefiting me, absorbing into Mother Earth, and doing the compost thing again, because that's something I know benefits and it releases it for me. If you're in traffic, you can't do forward fold. You can't put your feet in the grass. There's a lot of snow outside. Doing that 3 breaths, hands on the heart. And with each breath, feeling my chest move and visualizing that that's my heart opening and moving energy around are really great ways that I find to calm myself, to connect with that spirit self, and to quiet the ego mind. So I challenge you to remember those, to try those. I hear my husband in his office regularly. He's our IT guy, so there's a lot of grumbling. And I yell at him because he's not so much a hand on the heart, breathe kind of guy. So I'll remind him, I said yell at him, but it's just because I don't get out of my desk. I yell across the house. I remind him, go outside, play with the dogs. And I've gotten him to start being barefoot in the house, which is a big thing for my husband. He will take the ball out and throw it with our dog and just stand in the grass for a few minutes. It's best when you have an intention and you're conscious about it, but sometimes you don't even have to. It just will happen in its own natural way for you. Really just being in nature. Finding something that brings you joy is the best way to open your heart. And so often we get so stuck in our logical mind, our egos run through us, that we forget to bring ourselves joy. So I want to encourage you a couple ways to open your heart. Dance. We talked about yoga to lower your nervous system, but maybe you're feeling really low, your nervous system's really high, but you're low energy. So raising your vibration can be putting on your favorite song and dancing to that. I have a playlist on Spotify that's just my favorite upbeat songs that I'll hit and listen to. I smudge myself and then I dance and then I smudge myself again, so that I'm clearing everything that no longer serves me. But dancing 3 minutes, super great way to raise your vibration and to bring you back to your dreams. Make sure it's your favorite song. Like, don't just listen to the song that's on the radio. Put something on intentionally. If you don't have Spotify or Pandora, you can YouTube it and find that song. So I also think that journaling is a really great way to connect with your dreams and to connect with your heart. I can't tell you how many times I've been frustrated and started writing and written something I had no idea as how I really felt, understood something as something I never had any idea that's how I felt or that's what I was being led to. Journaling right at bedtime or first thing in the morning is a great way after meditation because that's when your ego mind's quieter and your spirit self is talking. So that's another way to connect with your intuition and to open your heart and really let go of that. So I hope that you've enjoyed these couple little tips. I hope that talking about ego mind will help you understand those voices in your head are not there to always support you. The voices in your heart are willing to take you the mile. My challenge for you today is to find something that brings you joy every day and do it, because that's how we continue to keep our hearts open and we connect with our spirit self. And finding something that brings you joy doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be, I write in my gratitude journal every day. It doesn't have to be big. Some days for me, finding joy is reading 5 pages in my book because I know that I love to read. Some days, finding joy for me is taking my dog for a walk for 5 minutes, not our normal 20-minute walk, but a 5-minute walk. Sometimes finding joy for me is watering my orchids because I love my orchids so much and they bring me so much joy and happiness. So finding something that brings you joy doesn't have to be planning a big date with your husband. It can be something simple like watering your plants. It can be eating a piece of chocolate for yourself. Whatever that is, making sure that you're doing something once a day to bring you joy. I'm so grateful for you being here. I'm grateful that you're a part of this, that you hung out in my backyard with me for a little bit. And I hope that this has been a beneficial conversation for you, that it will continue to replay in your mind as you move forward. Thank you for being a part of my journey, and I'm grateful to be a part of yours.